Hi guys, Terry here. Hope you're doing well. I recently made some curtains for my kitchen. I had seen this fabric at Hobby Lobby and I couldn't wait to use it somewhere in the house, and I decided over the kitchen sink was the best. So the pattern is from, what's it called? It is from Hobby Lobby and it's called Quick Sew, and I'll have a link to it on my website. We recently painted the kitchen cabinets this gray, and it's Sherwin-Williams, number 7059. It's called Unusual Gray. It looks so good with the countertops, and it really brightened up the kitchen once we painted the walls like a light cream, and then those gray, so it looks great. So I am using this pattern. I like this pattern because it comes with 4 different styles. So on this one I'm using the Valance that has kind of a curve. I think you could almost draw this out yourself because you fold the fabric on the fold so that your curtain is the same on both ends. And then I used the medium size for this one, and I didn't cut off that so that I could use the pattern for a large window someday. But yeah, I love this fabric. It looks so pretty with the gray cabinets. So yeah, you cut the pattern out twice. You cut it, this is the top side where the fabric is facing right side up. Here's the pattern, Quick Sew K3911. I got it at Hobby Lobby in 2012. And it's just such a good versatile set because it's when you want something just a little bit of color over a window. So here I am cutting the back side because you cut the front and then you flip it over, flip that pattern over, you flip your fabric over onto the wrong side and then cut that same shape out. So I'm just pinning it down, cutting it out, and then we're gonna put the right sides together. So again, I just look at that fabric. I just love it. So we have a cabin, so it's a lot of cedar. It has a lot of windows, so it's light for the windows, but the surroundings are kind of dark. So I love that we brightened up the kitchen. And so I'm just pinning the right sides together so I can go all the way around. And I did have to, I'm not good about on the pattern cutting out the little notches that you match it up. To me this is it's a mirror image, so I'm just laying it, matching it up. And then here you'll see where I used a couple of pins to remind myself that the pocket rod has to go here. So I'm not going to sew that shut on the side here. So I'm going to leave a hole there and one on the other side. And then you also leave an opening where you're going to flip this once you sew it. So when I'm sewing, I come up to those needles that are, the little double needle there is my signal to myself not to sew past that, leave that opening. Because once we get the right side sewn together, we're going to flip it inside out. So that's my reminder, is that little, you could use those sewing markers. I just didn't want to put anything on the fabric. I think the pins do the job. I'm also using my new camera setup, so I'm still learning how to keep it in focus and everything. So, but I do love the camera. It's a new Sony camera. So here's where I'm just sewing around all the edges. So here's that pocket that I left for flipping it inside out. So relatively, this was a very easy curtain to make. I mean, I think I'm going to use this often because putting the 2 pieces of fabric together, it took about 2 yards. This was upholstery fabric, so it was a little bit wider, I think, than regular fabric. The pattern called for almost 4 yards, but this fabric was really wide, so. But here I am just flipping it inside out. And such a handy way to, this fabric was pretty thick too, so I didn't have to put any kind of interfacing with it. But again, when I was at Hobby Lobby, this pattern just jumped out at me. It's very springy. It's wintry here in Ohio, so I think it's just a nice springy. And then I'm just using my little iron and my wool mat to just get the edges flat. Now there's where the pocket rod is going to go in. So I'm just flattening that so I can iron it flat. That's kind of how you finish that edge there. And then the top one, where we flipped it, the hole we needed to flip it, I'm just ironing that flat. And then I'll take it over to the sewing machine and just, you could hand stitch it. I just took it to the sewing machine. It's going to be on the top of the Valance, nobody's going to see it. So I just ironed it flat and then stitched right along that very edge. So I had to figure out the pocket rod. It said to add an inch for the diameter of your rod. So the curtain rod that I bought was 5/8 of an inch. So I added 1 inch to that. So the space there between the pins, it said to pin it 1 inch and 1/8 down from the top. And then the next one is where you leave room for your rod. So that's where I did that at 1 5/8, which made it be I think 2 3/4 down. So I'm putting pins in again. I guess you could draw a line on the fabric, and then they have those pens that when you iron it, I think it removes the line. But then after I got over to the sewing machine, I thought, well, I could just put a piece of tape here. I kind of lined it up with the pins under the needle, and then I put a couple of pieces of painter's tape and let the fabric travel along that in a straight line. So that worked for kind of keeping it aligned. So here's the final photo. Here's the kitchen. I think the cabinets look awesome, and the curtain just looks, I just love it. Thank you to my husband for painting it and hanging up the rod. But just look at that. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope this gives you some inspiration to make something at your house. Make something a little springy for this dreary winter time we're in. And I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.